And on behalf of Barbara and the entire family, which I assume is all of you, either as family or certainly family of choice, thank you for taking the time to be here today. We know that all we have in our human experience is this moment. And it means the world that you are here to show your love, to show your respect, to show your honoring for John and your deep love for Barbara. And so we come together. I invite you to please join me in a moment of grounding prayer. How good it is to be together, eye to eye, face to face, heart to heart, as we join in honoring one who certainly led a long and full life, and yet it feels like his time among us was not quite long enough. So we come together this day honoring John, all that he was, all that he contributed to all of our lives, and the thousands and thousands of lives that he touched directly and indirectly with his keen mind, his gentle heart, and his huge spirit. So we come together in this time, in this place, in this space. If we have a tear in our eye, it's okay. If something brings a smile to our lips, it's okay. The one power, the one presence that I choose to call God is in, around, and through it all. And I simply give thanks. Thank you, Spirit. All is well. And so it is. Amen. Our first reading is Death is Nothing at All. Death is nothing at all. It does not count. I have only slipped away into the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am I, and you are you. The old life that we lived so fondly together is untouched, unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak of me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh as we always laughed at the little jokes that we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be the ever the household word that it was. Let it be spoken without an effort, without the ghost of a shadow upon it. Life means all that it has ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolute and unbroken continuity. What is this death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you for an interval somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. Nothing is hurt. Nothing is lost. One brief moment, and all will be as it was before. How we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. And if you would please welcome Ricardo Esparza.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Barb, for inviting me to say a few words about John. Just by way of quick introduction, good to see you, Alan. I haven't seen you in a while. John and I go back to the 70s, but obviously some of you are carbon dated in terms of how long it's been that you've known Barb and John. So I'm a wannabe, so I'm still in a different era. But at least I knew John from the 70s. And we shared many lunches together, many gatherings, many talks, etc. And Barbara used to asked John and I if we had some kind of a marriage going or something like that, because when we got together, we would laugh so hard that our sides would hurt. And so today, in the midst of that friendship, I want to share just a couple of words. I promise you will not be a high mass, because I told him that I would not do that anymore. But John and I shared a lot of different things. And one of the things that was a challenge was, of course, finding something to say about him. So he would be surprised that I would have to go back to the 12th century to be able to say something about him, because there's too much New Age stuff right now that's going on. I don't think that would capture everything. However, some of you may know the poet that I'm about to talk about, and that's the Rumi, of course. And the Rumi, the one that I chose, there was many to choose from, is called Pure Light. I am totally lost in the folds of love, totally free of worry and care. I have passed beyond the four qualities. My heart has torn away the veil of pretense. There was a time I circled with the 9 spheres, rolling with the stars across the sky. There was a time I stayed by his side. I lived in his world and he gave me everything. With the best of intentions, I became a prisoner in this form, confined and bound. How else did I get here? What crime did I commit? But I'd rather be in a prison with my friend than in a rose garden all alone. I came to this world to have a sight of Joseph's purity. Like a baby born of its mother's womb, I was brought here with blood and tears. People think that they are born only once, but they have been here so many times. In the cloak of this ragged body, I have walked countless paths. How many times I have worn out this cloak. With the ascetics in the desert, I watched night turn into day. With pagans in the temple, I slept at the foot of idols. I have been a charlatan. I've been a king. I've been a healer and fought disease. I've been on my deathbed so many times, floating up like the clouds, pouring down like the rain. As a dervish, I sought the dust of annihilation, but it never touched my robe. So I gathered armfuls of roses in this faded garden of existence. I am not wind, I am not fire, nor of the stormy seas. I am not formed out of painted clay. I am the essence of laughter. I am pure light. Look again if you see me. It's not me that you have seen. That's the end of the poem, John. Just a few words from this poem, of course. The thing that rings for me, and some of you that know John, obviously, maybe you would know this. His light and his laughter. Of all the poems that I could have chosen, this was the one that I want to share with you in terms of caring something about John. John was a man of faith, not necessarily religious faith, although that was both our tradition. He was a man that believed in himself, in his inherent goodness. That's why we love to be with him. We wanted to be in his presence, and Barb, you shared him with us. You did not hog him up. You, out of your own generosity, you let him be with us. You let him be that whirling dervish that just dances around in a crazy way, being John Martinez. A lot of people didn't know that. He also was a man of hope. And by that I mean, one of the things that is very important about John, of course, is that when people were in his presence, no matter if they were his patients or his clients or whomever he was around, John always emanated a hope that there was something better. And one of the things that John had the ability to do, and this was profound, is that he had the ability to sense you and sense your inherent goodness. Because the goodness that he saw in you, it was a reflection of him. You see what he was doing? He never talked about it like that. But in the midst of our conversations about philosophy, psychology, mysticism, jokes, comedies, you name it, you could see that he was a man of hope. And finally, for the end of all of this, that John was a tremendous man of generosity. He gave of himself in a way that is way beyond being a clinical psychologist. He gave you his presence in this world, and we're better for it. I just want to mention one more thing here. And that's, I want to thank you, Barb, and all of you who shared in contributing to who John was. People who aren't here, you know, John's colleagues, his friends, his neighbors, those people, you're here and you're their representative. You would have wanted that. So with that, please remember John's laughter and John's light. Thank you.
Be some mystic poets. So from Rumi, at Barb's request, to Cahill Gibran. On death. Then Almitra spoke, saying, "We would ask now of death." And he said, "You would know the secret of death, but how shall you find it unless you seek it in the heart of life? The owl whose night-bound eyes are blind unto the day cannot unveil the mystery of light. If you indeed behold the spirit of death, open your heart wide unto the body of life, for life and death are one, even as the river and the sea are one. In the depth of your hopes and desires lies the silent knowledge of the beyond. And like seeds dreaming beneath the snow, your heart dreams of spring. Trust the dreams, for in them is hidden the gate to eternity. Your fear of death is but the trembling of the shepherd when he stands before the king, whose hand is to be laid upon him in honor. Is the shepherd not joyful beneath his trembling, that he shall wear the mark of the king? Yet is he not more mindful of his own trembling? For what is it to die, but to stand naked in the wind and melt into the sun? And what is it to cease breathing, but to free the breath from its restless tides, that it may rise and expand and see God unencumbered? Only when you drink from the river of silence shall you indeed sing. And when you have reached the mountaintop, then you shall begin to climb. And when the earth shall claim your limbs, then you shall truly dance.
Solo, solo, sogno l'orizzonte manca le parole. Sì, lo so che non c'è una stanza quando manca il sole. Cielo ci sei tu, con me, le finestre mostrar tutto il mio cuore che è acceso, chiudi dentro me la luce che hai incontrato per strada. To say goodbye.
Tu sei lontana, sogno l'orizzonte, manca le parole. Io sì lo so che sei con me, con me, con me. Io sono e tu sei qui con me, con me, con me, con me.
I want you to know this is with Barbara's permission, from the sublime to the ridiculous. All I needed to know about life, I learned from my dog. Never pass up the opportunity to go for a joyride. Allow the experience of fresh air and the wind in your face to be pure ecstasy. When loved ones come home, always run to greet them. Run, romp, and play daily. Be loyal. Never pretend to be something you're not. Eat with gusto and enthusiasm. If what you want lies buried, dig until you find it. When someone is having a bad day, be silent, sit close by, and nuzzle them gently. Thrive on affection and let people touch you. Enjoy back rubs and pats on your neck. When you leave your yard, make it an adventure. Avoid biting when a simple growl will do. No matter how often you're scolded, don't pout. Run right back and make friends. Bond with your pack. On cold nights, curl up in front of a crackling fire. When you're excited, speak up. When you're happy, dance around and wag your entire body. Delight in the simple joy of a long walk. If you stare at someone long enough, eventually you'll get what you want. Don't go out without an ID. Leave room in your schedule for a good nap. Always give people a friendly greeting. And finally, if it's not wet and sloppy, it's not a real kiss. And now, when tomorrow starts without me. When tomorrow starts without me and I'm not here to see if the sun should rise and find your eyes all filled with tears for me, I wish you wouldn't cry the way you did today while thinking of the many things we did not get to say. I know how much you love me as much as I love you. Each time that you think of me, I know you will miss me too. When tomorrow starts without me, please try to understand that an angel came and called my name and took me by the hand. The angel said my place was ready in heaven far above, and that I would have to leave behind all those I dearly love. But when I walked through heaven's gates, I felt so much at home when God looked down and smiled at me from his golden throne. He said, "This is eternity and all I promised you. Today, for life on earth is done, but here it starts anew. I promise no tomorrow, for today will always last. And since each day's the exact same way, there is no longing for the past. So when tomorrow starts without me, do not think we're apart. For every time you think of me, remember, I'm right here in your heart." And again, at Barbara's request, another reading from Cahill Gibran on joy and sorrow. Then a woman said, "Speak to us of joy and sorrow." And he answered, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked. And the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your hearts, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has brought you delight. Some of you say, joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall. And as Ricardo shared, early in life, beloved John identified as Catholic, and later in life, perhaps more spiritual than religious, while always honoring all paths to the divine. So it is in that spirit and in honor of our Jewish brothers and sisters that I offer the Mourner's Kaddish in English translation. Sanctified be God's great name. House of Israel, speedily and soon, and say, Amen. May his great name be blessed forever and to all eternity. Blessed, extolled, and honored. Blessed may there be abundant peace from heaven and life for us and for all Israel. And say, Amen. He creates peace in his celestial heights. May he create peace for us and for all Israel. And say, Amen. And the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And friends, as we move toward the completion of this part of our ritual, again, thank you. So, everyone is invited to service, to break bread, and to have some lunch together, to continue the conversations about John, the stories, the treasures, how he touched your heart, the slightly off-color jokes, but whatever brought you joy, whatever your connection with this extraordinary God. And we do have, for anyone who would like, we do have ceremonial dirt available if anyone would like to place dirt on the casket. Thank you, friends. Again, I do believe that this concludes our service. Please go in power, go in peace.